It can be extremely confusing and challenging for family and friends who are witnessing their typically rational loved one getting sucked deeper and deeper into a toxic relationship. Why can't they see the narcissist manipulation tactics? Why are they allowing themselves to be treated this way? Why don't they just end the relationship and find someone who will love and respect them like they deserve? I'm Lise Leblanc, therapist, author, and life coach, and in this video, I am talking about the negative psychological changes and consequences that you will see in your loved one as a result of being in a romantic relationship with a narcissistic partner. And at the end of this video, I will give you my best advice on how to deal with this type of situation. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to like, comment, subscribe. I also want to let you know that I will be launching my membership site very soon, so stay tuned. I can't wait to share some of the membership perks that you'll get by joining my community. Okay, so let me start this video with an example. So let's say your brother is in a relationship with a covert narcissist who maybe at first you thought seemed really nice, like a great person. Maybe they seemed happy together and you were happy for them. But then you started noticing things that were concerning to you. A few insults here and there, criticisms, mean jokes. You've always been close to your brother, so you ask him, is everything okay? He reassures you, says it's all good, so you brush it off. But then, as time goes on, you're seeing and hearing more of what seems to you like red flags. The criticisms, subtle attacks, guilt tripping, and blaming him for everything is becoming more obvious. There's no denying it. You're actually witnessing her manipulation tactics with your own eyes and with your own ears. And you can hardly believe that he's allowing himself to be treated this way. Why isn't he standing up for himself, you wonder? Again, you try to talk to him, letting him know that you've noticed not only his girlfriend's behavior, but also the negative impacts it's having on him. Maybe he acknowledges some of what's going on, but at the same time, he's making excuses for her, minimizing and rationalizing her behavior, and taking on most, if not all, of the blame, as she's been telling him that he's the toxic partner, the narcissist, which maybe he's thinking is possible. But you know for a fact that it's not true based on your lifetime relationship with him. The more you hear, the more you worry, and the more you realize that her behavior is toxic and abusive. You try to warn him, but his mind is already so twisted up. On some level, maybe he knows that she's not treating him right, and sometimes even admits it. But then he's sucked right back into the maze of confusion, the self-doubt. Maybe he's afraid of losing her, feeling guilty that he can't make her happy, frustrated that he can't get the relationship back into a good place. And the more dissatisfaction and blame she projects onto him, the harder he tries, not realizing that there is no way to win this game, and that the harder he tries to please and appease her in the short term, the more he is losing the long game. In many ways, it's a slow death by domestication, and once he's been beaten into submission, she will no longer have any respect for the mouth of a man that she has trained him to be. So next thing you know, he's spending more time with her and her family and friends and less time with you and, his other friends and social network. And he's taking on more responsibility and blame while she walks around scot-free without any accountability whatsoever for her toxic behavior or the toxic relationship dynamics. It's clear to you that your brother is in trouble and you try to tell him this, but for every 10 minutes you try to talk some sense into him, the narcissistic girlfriend is spending 10 hours or more brainwashing and manipulating him, further isolating him from anyone who is not supporting her wants, needs, demands, and delusions. As your loved one gets sucked deeper and deeper into the narcissist's delusional reality, here are 7 changes that you will likely notice in them. Number one, you'll notice that they're becoming more compliant and more submissive, not speaking up for themselves, not standing up. They are taking orders as though they are more like a servant than an equal partner. You may notice that your loved one is no longer thinking for themselves, making decisions, or trusting their own judgment. It's like they need permission to do normal everyday things. Number two, they are so confused, spinning around and around in circles. Their mind is so twisted up in knots that they don't know if they're coming or going. One minute, they may seem rational and like they're seeing things clearly, and the next, they're sucked right back into the maze. They're full of self-doubt, guilt, confusion. Most of their psychological energy is tied up in this repetitive loop, trying to process all of the inconsistencies, contradictions, and conflicts that the narcissist is conjuring up. They may contact you for advice, and you may find yourself feeling frustrated as you hear new examples of the same old manipulation tactics you've been seeing and hearing about. You feel like you're repeating the same advice, having the same conversation over and over again because they're not taking action or making any changes. And anytime they do try to take your advice, they are punished for it and pulled further away from your bad influences. Number three is that you see your loved one is getting more anxious, on edge, hypervigilant, stressed as they continuously are monitoring the narcissist's moods and trying to avoid triggering their hostile outbursts. For more information about walking on eggshells, click on the link above. Number four, you notice that your loved one seems depressed, no longer pursuing their interests, unable to communicate their needs, and unmotivated to accomplish their hopes, dreams, and goals. Number five, your loved one may start behaving in toxic ways towards their narcissistic partner because after months or years of being subjected to persistent mistreatment, manipulation, and provocation, they may start reacting in aggressive or hostile ways in return, even if they've never shown any signs of aggression in the past. Number six, they start isolating themselves emotionally and or physically. So as time goes on, you rarely see your loved one anymore, or you never see them without their narcissistic partner. Now, your loved one is no longer confiding in you or coming to you for advice. And what's more is that if you do get to talk to them alone, they will avoid talking about their relationship, or worse, they'll recount the narcissist's rewritten version of events. Now, perhaps you witnessed some of these events. You saw and heard what actually happened. But when you point out the facts and what really happened, you realize that your loved one is completely brainwashed and totally bought into the narcissist's delusional reality. Your frustration and confusion turn to sadness and a sense of hopelessness, as there seems to be nothing you can do to counter the narcissist's gaslighting tactics. To learn more about gaslighting, click on the link above. There are many reasons that your loved one may start to distance themselves from you. It might be because their narcissistic partner is forcing them to. It might be because they're afraid of triggering a negative reaction in their narcissistic partner. It could also be because your loved one knows that if they tell you what's really going on, you're going to react negatively or pressure them to take action which they don't feel capable of doing. And like I just mentioned before, it could also be that they truly are brainwashed into believing that they are the problem, or that you are the problem, and that the narcissist is the innocent victim in all of this. Number seven, you will notice them losing all of their confidence, self-worth, and sense of self. They are becoming a shell of the person that they used to be, to a point maybe of being almost unrecognizable to you. As a family member, it is incredibly difficult to stand by and watch as your loved one is deteriorating psychologically due to the constant manipulation and abuse at the hands of a narcissistic partner. You may be at a loss for what to do. Should you say anything? And if you do, will you lose your loved one? Will they choose the narcissist over you, brainwashed into thinking you're the one who can't be trusted? Have you tried talking to them about your concerns, but they just don't seem to get it? First, it's important to understand that your loved one is stuck in a maze of confusion, self-doubt, fear, guilt, obligation. Once you recognize the toxic dynamics at play, then try to get them connected with a mental health professional that specializes in NPD and narcissistic abuse, because this objective and unbiased, neutral, third-party perspective can help them see things more clearly, and the therapist can provide them with strategies to help them set boundaries, communicate, navigate, and hopefully escape the toxic situation. If your loved one is already deep into the narcissist web of delusions and deceptions, believing that they're the only guilty party and the only one to blame for all of the relationship problems, then the angle you might take is to suggest that they see a counselor to help themselves learn to better handle and respond to the challenging situations they're facing in their relationship, so that they're not unraveling or saying and doing things to make things worse. Once they are in the hands of a qualified and competent therapist, they will at least gain the insights and information to recognize that their relationship is toxic and to receive the supports to navigate and again, hopefully exit the relationship. If you want to learn more information on exactly how to handle this type of situation and help a loved one, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my upcoming video where I will be sharing 9 more practical tips and concrete strategies on how to best support a loved one who is involved with a narcissistic partner. Thank you so much for watching.